So the government, as you may know, they do a very good job at redefining words. And we'll get to some of those words that they've changed the definition to later on tonight. Obviously, big news is that there's been leaked documents about Obama's drone program. We're going to talk about that and all of the definitions that they've kind of altered what they mean. But I want to backtrack a little bit because the way I feel is that if the government thinks that it's able to just change what a word means to usually mean the complete opposite thing, maybe I can go back and change my definition of a word talking about obscenity, things that are obscene, what people find offensive. And what I find to be obscene is very different than what most regular people find obscene. Talking about the Super Bowl last week, there was an F-bomb that got over the air, this terrible thing, and they're like, the FCC goes, oh, we'll obviously go, 8 million people heard an F word, and how are the kids gonna cope? They're gonna grow up, and that's gonna be, we gotta sue somebody, right? And I'm going, okay, so that's obscene, but Beyonce's halftime show, that's totally fine. Not only can she repeatedly rape music in front of grand national scales, but wasn't that halftime show basically porn? I mean, 774-314-7067. I watched it, and it was very hard for me to not think, okay, when is the point where she's going to be completely naked? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what it was. Totally fine, but a child hearing the word fuck, it's the end of the world. But I want to start with the drone program. Someone just leaked Obama's rules for assassinating American citizens. If you can believe it, he has some kind of rule book for it. In the 16-page memo, a copy of which was obtained by NBC News provides details about the legal reasoning behind one of Obama administration's most secretive and controversial policies. It's drastically increased the use of drones against al-Qaeda suspects, including those aimed at American citizens, which is something we've known about for a while. It's just kind of hitting mainstream. More is getting leaked. And finally, after a year of libertarians and civil liberty groups going, hey, let's have a conversation about drone killings and how Obama's given himself the license to kill American citizens. And finally, the mainstream media has picked this up, and they've been forced to talk about it because the libertarians on the internet and on places like LRN.FM, they've been pushing this for so long, and finally there's been people talking about it. But first, you might be wondering, what are they changing the definition of? Well, the first word that they're changing the definition of is the word imminent. So their whole idea is if they're going to have a drone strike, it's got to be imminent, right? And they can't just have a drone come in and drop a missile nonchalantly on a terrorist who isn't really that busy doing terrorist stuff. That would be my definition of the word imminent, like he's going to do something now. Here's their definition of the word imminent.
An imminent threat does not require the United States to have clear evidence that a specific attack on U.S. persons and interests will take place in the immediate future.
So basically, imminent means not imminent at all. So basically, I mean, this is what it boils down to. You change the definition of the words imminent and terrorist, and then you take out due process or any kind of oversight, and boom, there you go. There's Obama's foreign policy. I have facts. This is not my opinion. These are facts. 700% drone increase with Obama. That's not even a concept I understand. 2% of the kills from drone strikes are actual high-level operatives. And again, not imminent, not that big of a threat, and yet it's totally important to do it, even though we have a count of 176 dead children since this policy. And that's not even including the fact that we talked about earlier, how, by the way, they redefined another word, the definition of the word combatant. They're just going all through the book and changing every word. You're a combatant now if you're just an 18-year-old guy. Just the age of you could be in the military, you must be in the military if you're old enough. That's their definition of a combatant. Their definition of imminent means they might be kind of like a little bit connected to Al-Qaeda. They're not really doing much. We could probably nab them at any time, but we're just going to drop this anyways. People right off the bat are treating this like it's an issue. I'm sorry, but like, how can you be pro 176 dead children? That to me, that's not an issue. That's like, you just approve of murder. Like, murder's okay. That just makes you a psychopath. That's what crazy people would say. And instead of it being considered crazy, it's just considered foreign policy. Let's listen to some of these assholes.
I believe this is war, not law enforcement. And I believe they're... I'm going to not answer idealistic, but in reality. If I said to you, these domestic drone attacks or the holding Guantanamo Bay would prevent a family member in the future from being killed, you go right on. So we sit here idealistically unless it hits close to home. And in this world of terror, I do think there are new rules. And it's interesting because I'm a liberal overall. In this instance, I am quite the opposite.
Oh, fuck you, man. I'm a liberal mostly, but I'm also pro-murder. How can you defend that? And I hate this argument that some people make where they're like, well, what if they killed 176 children to save your family? Isn't your grandmother's life more important than a bunch of brown kids that you've never met? And then you go, I guess you make a good point there. You kill the kids. Fuck the kids. How about not fuck the kids? Is it really idealistic to be against murder? Is that me being an idealistic is that like a utopianist thing to be against murder now? I thought that was like a well-accepted thing, that killing people that didn't deserve it was like a bad thing. That's something bad people do. That's something a terrorist would do. And they go, oh, the rules have changed. We're in a war against terror. Are we though? You can't have a war against a feeling. Terror. Like, has anything even changed since the Bush administration where they shoved that word terror down your fucking throat? Terror. You gotta be scared. You're not scared. It's orange level. Do you even know what that means? I don't either, but it's almost red. Oh my God. Well, take your calls. It's lots more clips coming up. This is Off the Air Live, 774-314-7067. Stick around.